ya muchos amos, hablamos de los locos, la guerra y la vida. Busco todavía amigo entre la gente, el camino es polvoriento, la gente va latiendo, me gusta el calor. Caballos, caballeros, torneos por amor, la gente me acelera, las noches del cacao, el agua de las cuevas o del manantial. Busco la tormenta que truena en las nubes, que no estén en el agua, que aguantan su rato, que caen los rayos, su electricidad, el trueno que calma.
Print Matter, INC, Mad Love. Yo, I'm Linda J. Hang, artist in resident and mixed media scholar at the Center for Book Arts, New York City. The connection I have with these two institutions is that I started exhibiting under my imprint fist at a young age, and over the years built relationships with emerging artists and designers who have since gone on to become educators and curators, nonprofit executives, scholars, and international exhibiting artists working with book expedition design, sculpture, and visual art. Shannon, the previous Printed Matter Book Fair curator, gave me my first residency. It was for one day at the Ace Hotel here in New York City. Several years later, Karina Reynolds of Small Editions became executive director of the Center for Book Arts. So I went from doing a one-day residency as a pretty green artist to a one-year scholarly commitment for elevating the book form. It's all very connected. I have two studio spaces. One here at the Center for Book Arts, where I operate as a printmaker in minimal art, conceptual bookbinding, and nuanced Suminagashi marbling. The second studio space is right under the Pulaski Bridge in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, in a huge warehouse called U.S. Blues. It used to be a contemporary art gallery built by sculptor Daniel Sullivan. I share it with some interesting artists working in the fine art world. It's where I paint and make sculptures. I plan on learning how to use Daniel's power tools in here because you can make some serious noise. And weaving is a component to understanding how one can create their own reality in resistance to these broken systems that be, that you can still, pick up the fragments and reassemble. Distribution EQ is a heavy theme in my way of life. I don't really call it a practice anymore, because it's something that goes beyond practice. I want it to be so seamless in my life that you do it without thinking, and you do it all with feeling. Now within the book anatomy threshold, I'm starting to see how Suminagashi marbling end papers are like paused gestures. Paintings in their own right are peripatetic in nature. It's a cosmic, non-binary working method where elements of safety, conscious breathing, opens the door and pathway to exist as leitmotif, respecting the ritual aspects of one's movement and into new bibliophilic wombs of verse, dialectic poetry, cadence, architecture, and music. space. Before this zoonotic plague happened, I would spend my nights at Center for Book Arts, a studio here in Manhattan. Then when morning came, commute to Brooklyn to my painting studio. Now, depending on what master classes I was interested in taking at Center for Book Arts, because of the specificity of the technique and my admiration and respect for the contemporary artists and master bookbinders, I'd sign up and learn from them as well. Social distancing is definitely a privilege if you can afford it. I'm lucky in that having this residency allows my work current to be uninterrupted and now urgently in the flow, as if there's no telling what tomorrow holds for me and others afflicted. There's flexibility in that my painting studio is affordable, that I cook for myself, make my own medicine, and I take pride in that, because knowing how to live is the highest art. It's difficult in some ways, it's easy in some ways. I've been very lucky in my life to just have this creative flow in me, and also the desire to process and program myself and my muscles into memory. I think a lot of art, has to do with lived memories as well as given memories expressed through your ERA, your DNA. I've always lived within my means, however, because I didn't start out doing this for money, and I create in good times and terrible times. And I think what keeps me going is the ability to adapt and recover quickly from the ills and injuries of society. And when you come from a culture that just 40 years ago was in a war and your parents were refugees, you think and see the world very differently. So one of the things I see most is how class divides people. And I guess the trick is to stay curious, pay attention, and master language before it masters you.
So keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the second best. Now these rumors people say.
No soy de nadie, ya muchos amo, hablamos de los locos, la guerra y la vida. Busco